I'm doing this because in my book that I wrote, Pukka Life, there is a chapter in here, chapter 5, called Strength and Stillness. And I thought it might be nice to just go through a few of the tips in there, see what we come up with. Talk a bit about Ayurveda, a bit about routine, and also about some herbs and how we can include them. There's a rather nice quote at the beginning from Hazrat Inayat Khan, who big influence in the Sufi movement. Peace comes when self is in harmony with the rhythm of the heart. This is accomplished in silent meditation by entering into the life stream in the heart. It's rather beautiful, isn't it? Well, if you did the meditation that I gave earlier, you'll know all about that. But this idea of entering into the life stream of the heart, for me, is really about fitting into the routine and rhythms of life. How can we get into the slipstream where we feel at our best? What things can we do repeatedly throughout the day that either bring us back to our centre or help us enhance and spread outwards from that centre? And the secret for that is really just creating a plan and a map and sticking to it as best you can. I'm sure quite a few of you know a bit about Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is full of hundreds of rules. It's like almost stressful, and it's difficult to keep to them all, just being personal about it. But one of the first things one of my teachers taught me is that the first rule in Ayurveda is that there are no rules, because there are all these rules and guidances there, but they're really to help inform who is having how much of what and when. That's the main rule. Who is having how much quantity of what, herb, food, experiences, and when. At what age are they having it? What time of year are they having it? What time of day are they having it? So, yeah, it's really crucial to obviously know who you are. And in Ayurveda, that is defined as your constitution, the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and various combinations thereof. And how much is all dependent on what you can digest and absorb. We all know some people that seem to be able to demolish huge piles of food and seem to be totally fine with their digestion and everything. And some people can't take quite so much. So it's all about relevance, how much physical activity you're doing, what is the time of year. We're normally hungrier in the winter when we're generating more metabolic heat, maybe doing a bit more manual labour. In the summer, it's a bit lighter. And then stages of life, teenagers famous for being able to eat so much food. As we get older, we don't need to eat so much. Like that. So who's having how much of what and when? So that's first rule. Stick to that. And keep flexible. Because who's going to do the same thing every day? It's not good for you to do that anyway. You want to vary it a bit. But I think the point of having a routine is like a point to return to. It's like a friendly space. It's like your favourite armchair, your sofa, or your bedroom, somewhere you always go to. And with a routine, it's laying out your intention. So it's like you've got this idea of how you'd like to be and how you'd like to feel. Write it out. Take that unmanifest idea, that ethereal dream, and put it down onto something literal. It's a bit of paper. And, we all naturally have a routine anyway because of the nature of work and school and our life. But, build in a routine that's really good for you. And in Ayurveda, there's something called dinacharya, which is your daily activities. And it starts in the morning, first thing, as appropriate when you want to get up. There's quite a few rules in yoga between getting up between 4 and 6 and all this sort of stuff. But, whatever fits your routine and is relevant. Obviously, in the summer, getting up with the dawn is a beautiful thing. And you then go to the bathroom, do your ablutions, have a wash and freshen up. warm water wash, and then go and get a hot cup of tea. And personally, I always get a cup of 3 ginger. I love ginger in the morning. Ayurveda recommends that in the morning you have spicier drinks because the morning is seen as a more kapha, sluggish, sleepy time in a way, just waking up. And so you want to oppose those qualities of stillness and sluggishness. And something like ginger, or cinnamon, or green tea, really stimulates the system and gets it going. So have a warm cup of tea, and that cleanses your digestive system. A bit like when you pour hot water on a plate that's covered in grease. If it's cold water, the grease just sticks. If it's hot water, the grease will come off. And it's the sort of that analogy is used in Ayurveda, that you're cleansing your internal digestive tract. And also, another rule, another little saying in Ayurveda is like increases like. So like increases like. That means that when you have something warm, added on top of something that is warm, you get extra heat. So we have our digestive fire in our tummy. That will get enhanced through drinking ginger tea, for example, or cinnamon tea. So we're going to increase the digestive fire, and then we're going to head off to our yoga room, and we're going to bust a few moves. It doesn't have to be yoga if it's not your cup of tea, but do some rhythmical movement that tunes you in to your body and to your breath. That's also essential. And so in yoga, you do some asana, you do some postures, and it's nice to have a little routine, whatever is appropriate. I'm not going to go into that now. But then pranayama, do some pranayama, because A, it makes you feel really good. B, it cleanses out lots of sluggishness, and C, it's free energy. It's like you totally get to rejuvenate yourself for free. So learn a couple of yoga practices, and in this chapter I've mentioned a few breathing practices somewhere, and you can do like bellows breaths, or you can do alternate nostril breathing. Any of those are good, but bellows breath is good. Kapalabhati is also a very nice practice. Kapalabhati is literally means turning a light on in your brain, and that practice is where you are, forcibly exhaling your breath, and it spontaneously inhales, forcibly exhale, spontaneously inhale. You do that repeated number of times. I'm not going to teach you that either. Learn that with the teacher, but it's a really nice practice and can be put into your daily routine. And then, if you've got some time, or make the time, do a short meditation, really. So, you're really building in this repetitive cycle. And in this repetitive cycle, it's almost like a dynamo, where you're turning your body into the system that keeps replenishing and recharging, replenishing and recharging. And through this morning routine, you get to replenish that strength in your system so that you go out and face the day. But also, a lot of this practice of recharging is done when you're being still, doing your meditation practice. So you do that, and then come out, and I would then take some herbs after that, my morning herbs, whatever that might be for the day, talk about it a bit more, but at the moment, taking lots of immune tonics, medicinal mushrooms, ashwagandha, turmeric, things like that. And then make yourself a delicious breakfast. Something warm, something flavoursome. And then depending on what you've got for the day ahead, if you've got to go out and you're on the road, then I would try and make my own lunch. I don't really like eating food on the road. And that's normally just leftover dinner though, so I've put that together the day before. So the idea is at the beginning of the day is like super nourishment. You really build up your strength and care. This is if you can do it. And then you can intersperse the rest of the day with those other good moments. So you repeat that pattern of, cups of tea, middle of the morning, after lunch, middle of the afternoon, end of the day, nourishing food. Now Ayurveda's, a bit choosy about eating times. and how frequently we eat. Obviously, it's all very personal, but I would strongly recommend that you leave good gaps between your meals. I think it's a really powerful bit of advice from Ayurveda. It's like a mini fast, if you like. So, have breakfast and then leave, 5 or 6 hours till lunch. Have lunch, leave 5 or 6 hours till supper. If depending on your metabolism and assuming you have a proper meal, then you don't need to snack lots in between and you can just drink hot water or fresh herbal tea. So that's the routine of the day, really. Obviously, peaking in the middle of the day, try and have lunch, by 1 o'clock, following the cycles of the zenith of the sun. And then in the afternoon, you're toning down a little bit, maybe having some more relaxing herbal teas, making a lighter dinner, doing a yoga nidra, going for a walk. If you're really lucky, have a massage, do a yoga class. So that's your daily routine. So it's pretty full on, really, Ayurveda, isn't it? It feels like almost your whole day is taken up with it. But you can just take slices and do what's appropriate for you. Okay, so that's routine. So who is having how much of what and when? Rule number 1. Follow that all the time and you'll be quids in. Then a routine, also crucial, build that rhythm in. And look, if you can't do it every day, there's no judgment here. Just come back in. Ayurveda is completely amoral, actually. It's one of the brilliant things about it. It doesn't have any particular judgment about things being good or bad. It's really just what suits you. And it doesn't think coffee's bad. It doesn't think chocolate's bad. It doesn't think anything's bad. Or it doesn't think anything's good for that matter either. It doesn't think raw food's good. It doesn't think, fresh juicing's good. It's not that these things are inherently good or bad. They just are. It's about how you're preparing them, what suits you, what can you metabolize. Okay, I think I've said that a few times now. So a few other things that are relevant in Ayurveda I thought would be interesting to talk about in terms of how do we get this strength and stillness. I'm sure lots of you, you've heard of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the 3 doshas in Ayurveda. I thought it would be interesting to talk about some other aspects of Ayurveda, which are Prana, Agni and Ojas. And Prana is the life force and that energetic emanation from nature that keeps life alive, pulsating and well. Agni is the digestive fire and the energy that transforms and metabolizes all of life. And Ojas is like your inherited ancestral wisdom, inherited ancestral immunity, you could say your DNA on one level. And it's like your reserved bank balance that has got your energy in for the future of your life. And we can top this up or spend it down depending on what goes on. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about a few practices and herbs that would be good for those things. So Prana. So Prana is responsible for protecting us. It's almost like it has a protective force field. It is responsible for keeping us warm and metabolizing what we've got going on in our system. It's responsible for holding things in place, holding our muscles and organs in place. And it's responsible for our life and for our breath. And so we talked a bit about pranayama. Obviously, that's one of the best ways to improve prana in your life. And we talked a bit about eating, fresh food that's freshly cooked with lots of digestive spices like cumin, coriander, fennel, ginger, cinnamon, oregano, thyme. That's essential as well to bring that vibrancy into life. But also there are a few special herbs that are particularly good at enhancing prana. One is tulsi, which is holy basil, and that is particularly effective at strengthening the lungs and also opening up the life force. The interesting thing about tulsi actually is that in many houses in India outside many Hindus' houses, they plant the tulsi plant, and it's said to release essential oils and properties that cleanse the air, so that as your guests or your family members come home, they're purified through the volatile aromas that the tulsi plant is giving off, and then they turn up to your front door in a really good mood, which is a really sensible thing. So, you know, we've got some similar plants, maybe like peppermint is a bit like it, and thyme is also another appropriate herb there. So I've got a little bit of tulsi glycerite here, which is where I've soaked tulsi leaf in glycerine, and you get this really lovely aromatic sort of uplifting aroma. And I haven't brought a teaspoon, so I can't try it, but anyway, it's very tasty. So yeah, that's Prana. All of those plants that are good for the lungs, elderflower we talked about in the tea making session, also really good for Prana. So then Agni is the word to describe our digestive system, etymologically related with ignite, igneus, how to light something up. And of course our digestive fire isn't just in our tummies, it is also throughout our digestive system, in the liver, the pancreas, all the way down to a cellular level with the cells metabolizing with vibrancy. And the simple and best herb, and the most famous one for the digestive system, is ginger, also known as Vishva Bheshaja in India, or in Ayurveda really. And Vishva Bheshaja means the universal healer, because ginger is said to be good for everyone at all times, whoever they are, wherever they are, and in all quantities. You know, it's one of those sort of rule breakers in a way. And ginger is warming and pungent and spicy. It invigorates circulation. It helps digestion, in that it helps the food be settled, so it reduces nausea, but it also helps absorption of nutrients, and is a remarkable herb. It actually helps the digestive energy, if you like, in the joints, and is a renowned remover of inflammation and pain. Very aromatic, almost lemony fresh ginger. So dried herbs and fresh herbs work a little bit differently. Fresh herbs tend to be a little bit lighter and more ascendant, and so fresh ginger is what you'd maybe use if you had a cold and you wanted to make yourself sweat. You would boil up maybe a couple of inches of sliced ginger and simmer that, and then drink it down. It warms you up and can get rid of aches and pains. And dry ginger is more warming to the core and the centre of your abdomen, and a bit more drying and a bit better at removing mucus and coughs. So there's lots more to talk about with Agni, but essentially all the spices that I was mentioning for cooking earlier, you can use that to boost your digestive fire, and notably leaving good gaps between meals, eating the right quantity of food when you're eating, and just nurture Agni. You know, it's why you go to an Indian restaurant, you get a little bit of fennel at the end of the meal, you see people nibbling cloves or bits of cinnamon. It just keeps that spark of digestion going, the enzymes flowing. And then finally, Ojas. So Ojas, your inherited wealth, if you like, your inherited health. And, you know, we need to top that up, basically. You can't just spend your bank balance down or you just get into trouble. We need to top that up, although that can be quite hard. Routine is one of the best ways of doing that. Meditation is one of the best ways. Massage, being in love, having loving relationships. These are all ways to build Ojas. Spending time in nature, of course, helps us feel connected and part of a bigger whole. Thinking about the number of stars in our solar system, the number of galaxies in the world, these sorts of things that are mind expanding, they can help build our sense of Ojas. But along with that, you get certain herbs. And one of my favourite herbs for this is ashwagandha, It is a root that grows often in quite dry, arid parts of the world. It grows in India and Africa. And its name, ashwagandha, means the plant that gives you the essence of a stallion. Now, isn't that cool? You know, the beautiful, shimmering, strong, gorgeous stallion. Their elegance, their poise, their strength. It's known as an adaptogen, and it's got quite a few compounds that help you adapt to stress, i.e. Managing cortisol levels. So it helps you put up with more stress in a better way for longer. So it helps your capacity and your endurance. So it's a great herb, you know, men and women. I would usually take 1 or 2 grams a day as a capsule. At Pukka, it's on company issue to everybody. It's a really brilliant herb for keeping you strong, but keeping you grounded and dynamic. Its Latin name is Withania somnifera, so its somniferous property helps you sleep as well, and it is just one of nature's greatest gifts to us, really. It's the perfect herb for the 21st century because the levels of communication, the sensory bombardment, some of the pressures we can observe in the world, ashwagandha helps you adapt to those more effectively. With all sorts of clinical trials, like amazing clinical trials showing how ashwagandha improves your mood, improves your energy, stamina, it's good for your sex drive, it's good for all aspects of life, basically. So it's a brilliant herb, worth exploring and seeing if it's appropriate. Basically because it works through your endocrine system. It helps your hormonal system communicate from your brain, through your thyroid, through your pancreas, through your kidneys, adrenal system. Helps you really understand how to communicate internally. So Ojas, there's many other herbs we could talk about with Ojas. There's a licorice, which is very sweet and a strong tonic, slightly steroidal, good for the adrenals, mildly antiviral, and the sweetness is very nourishing and building, and it's slightly unctuous. I haven't mentioned that word. It's sort of a favourite Ayurvedic word for plants like asparagus is unctuous, or marshmallow, things that are slightly silky, and licorice is certainly one of those. Another great Ojasic herb is this beauty. This is a reishi mushroom, fruiting body of Ganoderma lucidum, and known as lingzi in Chinese. And lingzi was known as the mushroom of immortality. And, you know, they're becoming very popular mushrooms as the world wakes up to an understanding of our relationship with the mycelial world, and that the fruiting bodies of mushrooms have got compounds in them, these beta-glucans, sort of long-chain polysaccharide compounds that help to train our immune system. That is the beauty of it. It's not like it's attacking some virus or some microbe. It's waking up our immune system so that it is perfectly observant and acting with awareness and sensing what is good or bad coming into a body. So lingzi, mushroom of immortality, also called spirit mushroom because it's very good for calming your heart and soothing as well. So it's good for immunity and calming your heart. So I think that's it, everybody. I'm just going to finish with one little note about aroma, which I can't pass down through the video, I'm afraid. But in terms of strength and stillness, something I love to do is I always love to carry around a little bottle of essential oils. This is lavender, but often I'd carry rosemary or lavender or tulsi, and smell them to A, keep you grounded, B, to enjoy a delicious smell. But herbs like rosemary and lavender have been shown to enhance memory, enhance feelings of safety, enhance feelings of presence. So they're little tips on the strength and stillness journey. You've got your routine, you've got your digestion, you've got your food, got your cups of herbal tea, and then you've got some of your super tonic herbs to help with this prana, agni, and ojas. Basically, your tulsi, ginger, ashwagandha should become some of your best friends. So I hope you've enjoyed that, everyone. So much to talk about in the world of herbs, but hopefully that's a little starter.